Hi, and welcome to this video where I'm going to share with you everything that you need to understand to prepare successfully for your RTT therapy session. Now, whether you're having a session with me or with somebody else, this video will be helpful for you to get really the best out of your time in RTT therapy. Now, whether you're working with me or somebody else, this really applies across the board. So if you get value out of this video, please do hit that like button, please subscribe so you can get all the information that you need, that you want to learn about RTT, about hypnosis, and even about self-hypnosis. So I'm Jonathan Butler, and I am one of the most experienced RTT therapists. I was one of the first people ever trained. I've worked with thousands of clients, so I hope you'll find me imparting this experience and knowledge is useful for you. Okay, so the first thing you really need to think about in setting yourself up for success with an RTT session is choosing a time to do the session that is good. There's no bad time to do therapy, but choose a time that is going to work for you. And I always encourage people to either do it at the end of the day or on a day off or on a time when you don't have to be thinking, I need to rush off, I've got to go to a meeting, you've got something else important to go to afterwards. It's really important you create that kind of time and space for yourself, that you can go to that session, that you can be as present as possible, that you're not worrying about where you need to be or that you've got something big coming up. So quite often I say to people, it's good to do it in the afternoon or even early evenings. And obviously it all depends upon your personal situation, whether you've got kids or whatever, but generally try and find and create as much time and space so you can really be as present as possible in your session. Okay. The second thing is, and you may, or if you haven't already chosen your therapist, is do speak to a few people and make sure you choose the therapist that is right for you. Okay. And what is right for you may not be right for everybody else, but somebody obviously who inspires you with their expertise, with their knowledge, with their understanding of what's going on for you, but somebody who you feel comfortable with as well. That is very, very important. Choose who you feel is right for you. So that's a really important thing. Again, will just help you be successful. So the third thing you want to think about is setting up the environment. So let's say that you are doing this online, which I think a lot of you will be now. I do most of my work online, and a lot of therapists are working online. And working online, RTT online, is just as effective. And often I find, particularly for anxious people, working online is more effective than in person because people are more able to relax in their own environment where they feel comfortable. So let's assume that you're doing a session with somebody online. Now, your therapist really should be sending you some instructions about what you need to think about. And really some of the stuff is really quite, some of it is quite obvious, some of it is a little bit more subtle. So first things in terms of setting up for success with that session then is the technology. So let's say you're going to be doing this over Zoom or Google, Microsoft Teams, even WhatsApp. Just make sure that you are familiar with that before the session. Make sure it works. Make sure your camera works, make sure your audio works. Just make sure that you're familiar with it, you're comfortable with it, and you're not having to mess around with it. You're not having problems at the beginning of your session. So you just want to eliminate any tech issues. So get comfortable with those things. And with the tech, it is possible to do it on a phone. If that's all you've got, that's fine, that can work with that. But you really, really do need to think about a little bit more with your phone. Make sure you've turned off notifications, that you're on do not disturb mode. The same goes with your laptop as well, to turn off all of those things, but just kind of go through all of those things to make sure that the tech is working and that the tech is working for you and is not going to be interrupting you, getting in the way of things. So, switch off WhatsApp. You can actually do a call on WhatsApp video, but again, it's really important that you put it into do not disturb mode, making sure that you're not going to get any calls or messages coming through while you're doing that. Now, with the tech, I generally recommend that you do use a laptop, and you can use a tablet, and you can use a phone. We can obviously use a desktop if people have still got those, but it's important that in that session you're not trying to hold on to a device, so you just want to be able to stand it up. I do generally recommend to people as well, if you're going to use headphones, that's fine, but it's better to use wired headphones, because it's one of the sort of problems I've seen most of all is people have headphones and the batteries run out. If they're AirPods, or the batteries can run out because they're not fully charged, or they can fall out. So generally, if you're going to use headphones, better to use wired ones. If you're going to use ones that are in your ear, make sure they're in firmly, make sure they're fully charged and know that they've got enough battery, because an RTT session is 2 hours. You need to make sure that your battery is going to last for that. And of course the same goes for your device as well. Ideally it should be plugged in, but if it's not, make sure that you've got a full battery and that battery is good enough. So little things, but again, it's important to set up for that, because you really don't want to be interrupted by problems with batteries and messages going off. And of course, make sure that you are in a place in your house where you've got a good Wi-Fi connection or a wired connection, okay? So you need to be having a stable connection. So again, check all of that, where you're going to be doing the session from. Now, in terms of where you do it, obviously, it's good to find as quiet a place as you can in your house. If there are other people around, if you've got an office, if you've got a bedroom where you can be, where you can close the doors, where you can tell other people around you that you're going to be doing this session, then that is ideal. You want to minimize disruptions. If you've got kids, ideally get somebody to take the kids out. So, as quiet a place as you can in the house or wherever you are, and make sure that you are comfortable as well. So I generally suggest 2 core options. Be on a chair, if you can see like I am now, with a nice comfortable chair with a back on it, where you're going to be comfortable for a couple of hours, and where ideally you can put your feet on the floor. So just be nice and comfortable like that. Or you can lie on a couch, you can lie on a bed, that's perfectly fine as well. That's perfectly fine. The key thing is for you to be comfortable, but just then consider how you're going to set up your device so you can be seen. Now, the device can either be, if you're sat in a chair, you can have your device sort of head on like this, so you can be seen. People are generally going to want to kind of see your head and sort of shoulders, upper torso. I would say to people, if you put your arms up like that, I'd want to be able to see your hands, okay? If you're going to be lying on the bed or on the couch, it doesn't need to be head on. You can put that on a table. You can put the device on a table or on a chair by the side so that you can be seen there. Okay, so that sounds like quite a few things, but really it's just kind of basic common sense. Make sure your tech works, make sure you're comfortable, and make sure you've managed any interruptions, both the tech ones and the physical ones that could take place around you. So that will help you be as relaxed as possible, and you're losing time in the session that you could be doing the therapy in by sorting these things out when things are starting. Okay, so that's really, really helpful. The other thing I would suggest to you, as well as choosing the time that you do a session, do what you can to relax beforehand. So whether that's going for a walk, whether it's having a cup of tea, whatever it is, just be as relaxed as you can. I will stress it's natural to be a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, but tell yourself you're excited, and accept it's natural to be a little bit nervous because you're doing something that's a little bit new to you. You haven't done it before, but your therapist should be good at getting you quickly relaxed and moving on from that. So just be as relaxed as you can, but recognise you are going to feel a little bit nervous. That is quite normal, and your therapist should be able to quickly get you feeling very, 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 very comfortable. And so the final point I would make is having RTT therapy is something you don't need to try, okay? You don't need to over-try, you don't need to over-prepare for. So before a session, you need to set up those things I've talked about, and you need to be clear on what it is you want to achieve. So you can be clear to yourself what it is you want to achieve, and you can articulate that to your therapist. That will help you get the best out of the session. And I always say to people, ask people to come up with a list of 3 to a maximum of 5 points where they want to think, feel and act better. And I ask you to think about that before the session. after this session, after the work we've done, how do you want to think? How do you want to feel? How do you want to act differently as a result of doing this work? Okay, and in your own words. So that's really, really important that you get clear on that and that you articulate that to your therapist, and that they're clear on what it is you want to achieve in your own words, because again, that will help them be really, really focused and get you the best results. And as I said, other than that, you don't have to try too hard. In an RTT therapy session, you probably know it's interactive, but there's no right or wrong answers, okay? You don't have to be thinking, is that the right answer? Is that the right thing to say? Well, I'm not sure what if I'm doing this right. Don't worry, you just go with the flow. It's something where you just let it come to you. You let it come to you. Think of it a little bit like sleep. You're not falling into a sleep. You're in a very relaxed state. But it's a bit like when we go to bed at night and you want to sleep. You can't try, you can't make yourself go to sleep. You have to just let sleep come to you. It's the same when you're doing RTT therapy. Your therapist will take you through the process and just be as relaxed as you can to start with, and just let it come to you. You don't have to try, you don't have to push, just kind of let it in. And when you do that, you'll get the best out of it. And it is good, obviously, to understand as much as you can within reason about what's involved. And on my channel, you can see that there's lots of videos about what to expect from RTT, what results you can expect, how to look for the right therapist, all those things. It's good to understand those things, to kind of have an understanding of what's going on. But don't be trying to do too many things. The people I have found the hardest to get results for are those who come to me going, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I'm signed up for this therapy and I'm signed up for this course and I'm really pushing and I'm determined to make this. And those are the people who often take the longest to get results because they're trying too hard. You know, you have to want to change, but don't push too hard. Don't try too hard. If you're trying to do too many things, your mind is going to get confused. If you're doing RTT, you don't need to be doing lots of other things. Trust in the process. Do what your therapist asks you and you will get great results. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. As I said, you might want to check out some of my other videos. I've got other videos on what to expect in terms of results, how to choose your therapist, case studies, testimonials of RTT, and other things about hypnosis. So really anything you want to understand within that sphere of what's useful to understand, please check that out on my site. So I'm Jonathan. If you've got any questions, please do put them in the comments down below and I will answer your questions. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for listening and enjoy and have phenomenal success with your RTT therapy. It is an incredibly powerful therapy.